Shep, thanks for having me in your home.
I'm so happy to have you here. Thanks for having me in your temporary home.
My temporary home. I've taken it over. But first, a quick message from our sponsor. Finding a good SEO partner that specializes in content marketing can be hard. Since 1999, Internet Marketing Ninjas has built its reputation on SEO and content marketing strategies. Internet Marketing Ninjas is run by Jim Boykin. I've known Jim for close to 20 years now. He's been a very hands-on SEO, he's a very hands-on CEO as well, and he's built a great team at the Internet Marketing Ninjas. From what I hear, their clients are very happy with them too. The Internet Marketing Ninjas could also help you with your core web vitals and page experience update. They're very hands-on with that. They'll make the changes for you, not just provide the audit. So check them out at internetmarketingninjas.com. It's a really cool space, and I heard you own the building now.
Not at all.
No?
No.
Okay.
There were some problems with our water last week, and like the alley by the building was flooded. I did not have to deal with that.
It's funny.
I'm out. Yeah.
My brother, I own a company with my brother, and he's like, we should do real estate. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I deal with that at home. I don't want to deal with tenants. I don't want to deal with any of that type of stuff. Let's just enjoy life.
Matt and Greg are partners. I guess that's what they want to do. So we bought this, and they have to deal with all of that.
You didn't ask me for advice beforehand. So. Anyway, can you tell people in that camera who you are?
I am Christine Zirnheld, I guess, AKA Shep.
What does Shep come from?
My maiden name was Shepherd, and I started working here maybe like less than a year before I got married. I was engaged. Greg, after interviewing me, was like, "How do you feel about nicknames?" I said, "I don't know, something about the name Christine. Like everyone I meet, someone gives me a weird nickname, and like I'm so not a Chris." So he said, "How do you feel about Shep?" And I was like, okay." We'll go with it. And the rest is history. Everyone here calls me Shep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You never had a nickname before?
No, everyone gives me a weird nickname, but they're just not consistent anywhere.
Why does Greg want nicknames? Everybody here has a nickname?
No, he doesn't have a nickname. Sometimes we call him Greg with 2 G's.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I have a nickname. Killer has a nickname. And then J2 has worked here forever. He has a nickname.
I guess he has a problem with your original name. So.
Yes. No, I'm saying the name Christine like makes people uncomfortable, and they always give me nicknames. I don't know what it is.
That is weird.
Yeah.
You should be insulted.
I should be.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. If you've been doing podcasting and writing for a long time, and you've been in this industry for a while, so it's really hard to be insulted by anything.
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm numb to everything. You could like literally say the worst things to me. I'll be like, I don't care.
Well, it's especially fun on the podcast. Like we have to poke fun at each other and at ourselves. Like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, try to bring some fun to it.
Okay, so how did Greg convince you to work with him? I can't imagine that.
So I guess I'll get into like my whole history. I went to school. Actually, I wanted to go to school my whole life and study fashion. And do you know who Clinton Kelly is from What Not to Wear?
No.
Of course not. That's a TV show that was on TLC like when I was a kid. And I wrote a letter to him in middle school, and I was like, "Hey, how can I get started in fashion?" And he said, "If you want to work in fashion, get a degree in something else." So I was like, okay. And I had it framed in my bedroom for a long time. Like he was like an idol to me. This is a deep cut. So when it was time to go to college, I would have really wanted to go to FIT, Fashion Institute in New York, but Clinton told me not to. So I did this program at Canisius College in Buffalo because my mom's family was from here. I'm originally from Northern Virginia. And I spent 3 years at Canisius studying marketing. I had a major in marketing, and then I got an associate's degree at FIT and spent my senior year there. So started working in fashion, didn't love all the people, felt a little silly, and honestly, fashion's getting kind of ugly these days, and I'm just not into it anymore. So I was just looking for jobs in marketing and honestly just wanted to move back to Buffalo, and my husband was here. I was ready to come back, so I started working in Buffalo for an ad specialties company. Which was kind of random, promotional images, great people there. And I was kind of more of a sales assistant there, to be honest, and was just looking to work at an agency was kind of my dream. And so Greg did not have to convince me to work here. I really wanted to work at Cypress North. So yeah, I guess the rest is history.
And you've been here for about 4 years?
Working on 4, yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty recent. How long were you at the previous companies?
Couple years. My fashion jobs were only like internships. I interned at a company probably for a full year. It turned into a summer internship. And I just knew I didn't want to be in fashion anymore and didn't.
It's funny because I was in New York City for my university. I went to CUNY. I went to a Brewer College.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't so far from FIT, at least when I walked
in
the
Chelsea
bus.
on 27th Street.
So they had multiple. When I was there, the vertical campus, which is on 27th Street, I think now, was my last semester there. Is when they opened it. Before that, it was literally in 3 or 4 different buildings from 18th Street all the way up to like 28th Street. So if you had a class in 18th Street and you had to run to like,
oh my God,
20, I was in much better shape back then.
Same. I like really hated the subway and I walked everywhere.
Subway was disgusting.
Yeah.
Still is, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, there were certain trains you were allowed to take and certain trains you probably should not have. Cool. So it was funny. So I remember like the FIT people. I'm like, why would anybody want to go for fashion? No offense, but I don't know. But I didn't understand fashion then. I don't understand fashion now. And I'm wearing the same shirt for all these interviews that I'm doing. So you'll see them constantly in every single interview that I'm doing with all the people here, the same shirt. Tomorrow I'll change, but
I don't know. I love shopping. I like putting outfits together. I met some great people, but it just wasn't for me. And it's hard living in New York when you're like a really broke college student. I think that was part of it too.
Yeah.
I was just ready to come back.
It's a nice place here. I've never been to Buffalo. It's funny. I said I'm coming out here and all the Canadians are like, could you come to Canada? I'm like, I look up the rules. Like,
Is
you
the
have to
border
take
open?
PCR tests, like before, after, during. I'm like, it's okay. You come here. And they're like, no, we can't because we have all these rules. I'm like, so why are you making me do it?
Yeah.
So
that's nice of you to say you like Buffalo. It's a tough sell for some people.
Yeah, I drove on one of the roads here. There was like a couple buffaloes, not real. They were like statues.
Oh yeah.
So that's in the B-roll. That's going to be in the B-roll when you walk. Maybe get the B-roll in here while I'm.
Yeah, my dad used to see those on the side of the road because we were from Virginia, but we'd spend a lot of time here to visit my mom's family, and it could be like the 100th time seeing them, and every time he'd be like, "Whoa, look out! Buffalo in the road." This is like not funny.
It's funny because my father-in-law is from St. Louis, and where I live in New York, in the suburbs, we'll have like deer and sometimes turkeys walking around. He's deathly afraid of like the deer. I'm like, the deer, they see you, they freeze and run away.
Yeah.
But he's deathly afraid. I'm like, let's go for a ride in a deer. Let me get on a deer. But you have deer here, I assume.
Yeah, we do.
Anyway, we have lots of animals in New York State, but that's not what this podcast is about, right? So
I guess not.
So you've been there 4 years and you're a digital marketing manager.
Yeah. So I came on, it was a really flat organization. When I started, I was hired as a digital marketer, and that was like, Greg was a digital marketer too, even though he was my boss. Like, it was very flat. And as we've been growing over the last few years, we've kind of made it more structured. So now I'm a digital marketing manager. And when we started, we were all kind of generalists. So I have like some SEO experience from my early days, but now I've really honed in on PPC.
That's where it's at.
Yeah, and podcasting,
SEO is so boring. So, I mean, PPC is constantly changing. I mean, they're constantly like giving you features and telling you they're great and they're really not great.
Yeah.
You got to mess with those things and understand. You have to read through the first 2 paragraphs of every single blog post and then get to the bulk of the content, understand what's changing.
Yeah.
So PPC is fun. I cover more of the SEO side of stuff, as you know. Anyway, let's go into your topic. So you want to talk a little bit about PPC, obviously.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about PPC?
Yeah. So I guess I wanted to talk to you today about a couple of topics. But both of what it comes down to is I'm a huge hypocrite, because they're both things where if you've listened to the show, or even we as an agency put out a book last year about Google Ads, and we're looking at updating it, and it's a huge undertaking because so much changed. And I was just talking crap about Broad Match left and right. Actually, my first day of work here, we have a meeting every Monday and we talk about something we learned the week before. So it used to be on Friday. So I worked Monday through Friday. So as a marketing team, we're sitting down and Greg's like, what's something you learned this week? And I said, don't ever use Broad Match. And I put that in my book, don't ever use Broad Match ever, because the matches were really irrelevant. You were just throwing your money away. But I've had some more success with it lately, and I'm really eating my words.
It's interesting. So I speak to a lot of PPCers. What do you guys call yourselves? You people.
I don't know. PPC lady.
PPC lady. So
I think SEOs is weird too, because does it stand for search engine optimizer?
Right. It doesn't.
I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And even like SEOs, like we say the SEO community, in my mind, it's the whole search marketing community.
Yeah.
And whatever. It's a whole nother tangent. It's interesting. I spoke to somebody who's like, I always set up the Broad Match because you never know what you're going to find. And then if it works out well, some of those keywords, I'll go ahead and like narrow in on them.
Yeah. I'm not even that liberal with it. Like, I don't really use it to find things, but in some of my accounts that have a lot of conversions, they generate a lot of conversions. I've just had a lot of luck only with smart bidding. So target ROAS or target CPA or not even maximize conversions, I guess a little bit to launch it to try to get some volume in. But I've had a lot of luck with target CPA and broad match. So I'm saying, okay, I need my conversion in for $150. Let's see what you can do with broad match. And when you look at the keyword report, like it is scary what you're matching with. And then there's so much data you don't see that is probably even scarier. But at the end of the day, the results speak for themselves. And it is finding volume that you're not necessarily going to find with your phrase and exact match. And let's be honest, close variants are bad enough as it is. So yeah, they said they made improvements to broad match a couple years ago, and I didn't even believe it. I think we laughed about it on the show. And honestly, I inherited an account from another agency that had broad match running, and it was killing it and having a great CPA, meeting the target CPA goals, exceeding them. So now I have it running in a couple of my accounts with smart bidding, and it's really working well. So
you're basically telling me to cancel this interview, go home, nothing to do here, because it's funny because I remember like all the broad match news every single time. It's like broad match is expanding yet again and again and again. And Google's just saying everything is wonderful, but they just want our money so they could just bid on keywords that we don't really care about. And it's going to send us such garbage. And you're saying it's pretty good.
Yeah, you have to use it the right way. Like I said, you need like dialed in conversions in your account. If you have a conversion value with them, it works even better. So Google knows to optimize for those more valuable conversions. But yeah, I would just say give it a try if you haven't yet, because there's so many things where I haven't worked in the industry that long, as you said, like almost 4 years. But there's things that I thought were like hard and fast rules when I started. And I think I'm just slowly learning. Everything's always changing, and you've got to give things a test. So broad match is one of the big examples of that.
Yeah, I mean, that applies to everything in marketing in general. What you might think, you let's say you did this strategy for this client and it worked well. It might not work well for another client, even in the same area, which is pretty fun, especially in SEO. It's like, oh, I did this strategy and it worked so well. And the person convinces themselves that, buying links with DA is the answer to everything. And then they try for another client and it doesn't do anything. So everything has to be tested across everything you do over and over again. Like you said, 4 years ago, it might not have worked, but it might work now. So I find that pretty interesting. But you're saying obviously the conversion tracking needs to be set up properly so that Google could funnel that back into the algorithm.
Yeah, and you need a bid strategy that is optimizing for conversions. So target CPA is where I've had the most luck. I've heard other people talk about target ROAS. That's that golden triangle, which is like the worst name ever.
That's fairly new. Right?
Yeah, Google Ads, they had the Google Ads Expert Series a couple months ago, and they introduced this new term, the golden triangle. I was like, psh, that is the worst name ever. But they're bad at naming everything. So that is using responsive search ads. They talk specifically about target CPA or target ROAS and broad match and how that's working really well for people. And I see like the two ends of it. I don't know if it would only work with responsive search ads, but that is the way the industry is going, where Google Ads is only going to have responsive search ads anymore. So you might as well just accept it.
You just got to accept everything Google gives us.
I know. Well, not everything. Like there's definitely still some really bad, like don't ever use a smart campaign. I'm sorry. That's still an absolute. But other things, I think if.
That might change in a year. Now you mentioned that, it might not be true anymore.
Yeah. I think they released Performance Max as like a rebranded, which I was going to talk about in a minute, but like as a rebranded smart campaign that like actually works, but kind of the same idea. But smart campaigns I don't think are good. I've seen them at work. It's scary.